Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to think about world building. This is a new series on environmental storytelling in narrative and interactive fiction, i.e. video games, where we'll look at the building blocks of creating stories and worlds and apply them to our own original concepts instead of just reviewing and criticizing works as an audience member. I'll have practice challenges at the end like I do with coding videos, but without further ado, enough of the introduction, let's begin. So on one cloudy, dreary, rainy day back in college, I was walking home with an armful of books when I tripped and fell into a puddle. And it wasn't just a little trickle on the sidewalk, but one of those deep, muddy, disgusting potholes on the curb. And so I had my books in one hand, and I was raising the other to wave hi to my friend that I saw across the street. And at that moment, I swear, a car sped by and sprayed rainwater in my face, and somehow with the distraction of my friend, the surprise of the car, and the stuff I was awkwardly carrying in one arm, I just toppled into the disgusting pothole in front of me, and all my papers got soggy, my clothes were muddy, my shoes and socks were squelchy, and as you might do with all of life's tragedies, I had to ask, why did this have to happen today? Because I've lived through many rainy days and I have passed by many curbside puddles without falling in them. And so I could conceive of many ways in which that day could have gone and many ways in which I would have avoided that puddle. So why did I have to fall in the puddle on that day when I had all these important, expensive books and notes? If we really want to answer that question, like scientifically and objectively, there are infinitely many variables powering the happenings of the world. My friend, that car, my books, the puddle, myself. Hypothetically, we could trace all of our origins down to the probabilities of the motion of all of our atoms and all of the matter in the universe to predict my tumble that day, but this, of course, is impossible. We could look at those infinitely many variables and all the complicated statistics that have led us to be where we are right now as some kind of beautiful fate in the randomness, or we could believe that me falling in a puddle spawned a parallel universe where I did not fall in the puddle, and for every puddle I passed by which I didn't fall into, there's another universe in which I did fall into it. Or you could ignore all of this and just say, put your books in your backpack and look where you're going next time. That's it. And this is also why I think stories are so valuable. Fiction, whether fantasy or in the real world, fiction can isolate some of these variables to create a clear narrative. Stories take out the noise. They give us a clear set of events and symbols to reflect on. I once heard fiction compared to a mountain, where the writer lays out a path to the top, the reader has their own path, and they embrace in the middle. The writer's path contains all of the images and emotions and personal experiences the writer had in mind while creating the story, and the reader starts on this path, but they'll always deviate from that trail a little bit as they project their own experiences and emotions and images onto that story. And the reader can cross paths with the writer, the two can intertwine, but the reader can also find new paths up the mountain that the author never knew were there. And eventually, when you both meet at the top, you reach a common understanding of thought and emotion, even if you had different things in mind along the way. And I think we all have creators we've really connected to in this way. But to continue the woodland metaphor even more, I think our earliest creative works often feel like little dinky trails through a forest before they ever reach the height of our epic mountain ambitions. So before we begin, I think it's important to start simple, go slowly step by step, and remember that the meat of your experience as the creator is your journey up the mountain, not just the feeling of reaching the top. It's really easy to move too fast and get lost in the woods. So with that in mind, let's get to our first step on this journey, the premise. In logic, a premise is what you base an argument or theory on, an assumption. In writing, a premise is the root of your story. It's the seed that births everything into existence. When we develop a premise, it's necessary to know three key things. First, who your protagonist is. Second, the setting of the story. And third, the conflict your character will face in this world. And this can start as a 10-second explanation that spirals into the driving force of a grand epic narrative. For example, here's the bare bones premise of One Piece with all three elements. First, the setting. One Piece is set in a fictional world of pirates. 2. The protagonist. It follows Luffy, one such pirate who has a supernaturally stretchy body from a devil fruit. Third, the conflict. Luffy and his crew are at sea in search of an ultimate treasure called One Piece to become the king of pirates. It sounds simple enough, but 800 chapters and nearly 20 years later, and we're still on that adventure. A good premise starts simple and shows complexity as it's tested and deepened throughout the journey. Thinking about developing our own premises, one thing I've noticed is that every story ever has similar protagonists and similar conflicts reappear again and again. No matter how unique and well-crafted a story is, at its core, it always seems to share similar emotions, decisions, backstories, personalities, and motivations with thousands of other tales. Even if your world is magical and strange, you see it grounded in the same themes like love, loss, morality, family, responsibility, guilt, revenge, ambition, hope, fear, greed, courage, friendship, trust. Let's make up a protagonist. Let's say there once was a wizard. The conflict. An evil king killed the wizard's brother and he now seeks vengeance. Or the wizard has a crush on the evil king's girlfriend and wants to win her heart. Or the wizard gave the evil king a magical artifact that ruined the world, and now he fights back out of guilt. We've heard these stories before ad nauseum, yet we still enjoy stories with these same themes, the same personalities, same conflicts, and this is why I think the setting is, dare I say, the most important element of the premise, and it can easily be the most underdeveloped. The setting gives the individuality and the spice to the story. It's the rules that govern your world. This is where we find that individuality in characters and their problems. Maybe they have a song that represents an emotion or memory. Maybe they dress or talk in a certain way. They could be from ancient India, a European fantasy world, an alien planet, or the south side of Chicago. But even if they have similar personality traits and conflicts, those will all be different people. Those details make characters memorable without assigning random quirks for the sake of being different. Games especially allow us to explore the setting, explore the world, and see these details by our own agency. They let us ask those questions without waiting for them to be relevant to the main narrative. In a game, I would say the setting also dictates how we interact with the world. The setting is tied with the gameplay. As a developer, you are the god of a world. You decide everything from what numerical value gravity is to the placement of each bush. You know what precise preconditions cause which effects. Any game that has any component of exploration is a simulated, encapsulated slice of our world. In summary, I think a character and conflict can create a path to somewhere, but the development of the surrounding world decides whether that path goes up a plain hill, or an unreasonable cliff, or a mountain with trees and waterfalls and foxes and rabbits and caves. So that's all for this week, but I'd like to do more videos on my thoughts on world building and creative development. This was a bit of an introduction or taste to the things I want to talk about, and I'm by no means an expert, but I think we can learn from each other. It's something I'm really passionate about, and I know there's a lot of you who are probably passionate about this too. So leave a like if you'd like to see more. Feedback really helps when I'm trying new things. And, of course, I said I'd leave a challenge at the end of every video, so this is no exception. So, I want all of you to write a post, I'll leave a link in the description, giving a premise of a world, story, gameplay idea, realistic or not. There are no rules or special formats. You can include the protagonist, setting, conflict thing I said, but you don't have to. And it doesn't matter if it's stupid, silly, whatever, there's no competition. I'll read them out loud on my second channel in a video, unless you specifically tell me not to. And I'll post one first to, set a low bar for everyone. And oh, the one with the most upvotes wins a cat drawing based on their premise. I can't promise it'll be great quality, and it's not a competition, but hopefully that's some motivation to, you know, share your creative ideas with the world. Anyway, have a happy day wherever you are. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.